每天鱼都会当天现开，然后也有冷冻海产，然后也有一些牛肉啊、干贝啊之类的。其实里面的东西我都有吃过，我吃过之后我喜欢，我才会放在这里卖。
For more than a decade, Chia Rong has run this seafood stall in Changhua, a fishing port along Taiwan's west coast. Her work is closely tied to the sea, where her husband captains a fishing vessel.
我们就是四季的海鲜，只要当季有什么就抓什么。冬天的鱼种本来就会比较大，所以冬天都会以大鱼居多，夏天都会小鱼比较多一点。对，那是四季的问题。
For generations, fishing was the backbone of life here. Days move with the tides, the seasons, and the wind.
现在是乌鱼季，就是现在就是主要都是以乌鱼为主，每一种都是四季的海鲜，还有这个脚虾也是，这边也有大龙虾。我先生抓什么鱼，我就会卖什么鱼。
But in recent years, the sea she relies on is no longer the same. Off Taiwan's west coast, ports like Taichung sit closest to the island's strongest offshore winds. Capitalizing on its position, rows of offshore turbines rise on the horizon, their giant blades turning steadily. These wind turbines are gradually becoming part of the region's land and seascape, and this has raised questions about how these waters are changing.
你盖了风电之后，它这样水流也不同啊。你在水流的中间盖了风电，那它的水流也不同。鱼本来就会跟着水流而游嘛，对不对？那你明知道这里有障碍物，它当然不会再来啊。
The sea that once fed households is being reshaped into a source of power. But for fishermen, these changes are not only visible above the water. Some believe the turbines are also affecting what happens beneath the surface.
那震动的时候，鱼也不敢来，那是很正常的啊。例如说虾子的季节，那虾苗会在沿岸边，它长大一点，它会往外面游一点点。可是它如果那个风电一直在动，在震动，它也不敢靠近。
As the energy industry rises from the sea off Taiwan's coast, fishing communities are experiencing that transition up close. For people like Chia Rong, it is a question of whether the sea can still provide. Chia Rong's routine begins with collecting the day's supply. For fishing communities, the arrival of turbines has not been easy. Their presence upends familiar fishing routes and methods.
所以就变成渔民也不敢，就算去抓了，你有怕自己的渔网损坏。
While some worry about how fishing is affected, others see offshore wind as part of Taiwan's move towards cleaner energy sources. For Taichung native Eddie Teng, the turbines offer Taiwan an alternative source of power. Eddie has worked in the wind industry for nearly 2 decades.
高中的时候是以半工半读的方式进入到电机科这个领域。那因为我们的基础原理原本的工作就是在学校跟电机工厂的配合，所以才做这个。我实际上是看着他们一只一只盖起来，很像是看着自己的孩子一点一滴的长大。
Over the years, Eddie's work has evolved alongside the development of wind power in Taiwan.
风力发电最主要的原理就是它把发电机放在一个最顶端的部分，就是风机机舱的轴心里面，透过风机的旋转，然后产生足够的电能来发出这个电力。
The electricity generated by the turbines is transmitted back to shore and fed into the power grid. Since the early 2000s, Taiwan has invested in building up its wind energy sector as part of nationwide efforts to transit from coal to clean energy. Companies like Vestas have been involved in offshore projects in Taiwan, where steady sea winds make these waters ideal for power generation.
Offshore is a great place to place turbines. We get high production, we see constant wind speeds, which is a big benefit to giving the yield to a sustainable production period. There is a goal within the government to meet the green target also.
By 2035, Taiwan has set targets for around 15 gigawatts, generating enough electricity for its 23 million population. For an island that imports most of its energy, that shift could be key to stronger energy security, especially in uncertain times.
The turbines are getting bigger. We are seeing great future plans for where we're going to be within offshore wind. The regions have great ability to give us good offshore yield, and I think just the people to join and help us with this, it's a journey.
That journey includes building bigger turbines and a workforce that is able to design, install, and keep them running. Ruping has been tracking these developments through her work in renewable energy. She has come to see offshore wind as a key to the island's future.
2014年的时候，之前是完全是零。到了现在2025年的8月，这统计到8月的时候，我们的离岸风力已经到了3.2个吉瓦，好，就是就排名来说，已经是世界上面第5名，好的这个速度，算是非常快的哈。
Taiwan sits beside the Taiwan Strait. A pathway for strong winds is funneled between the central mountain range and China's Wuyi Mountains. Taichung, Changhua, and other cities are fixtures along Taiwan's strongest wind corridor, creating favorable conditions for offshore wind projects.
因为我们台湾就是海洋嘛，好，那台湾海峡是全世界就是非常优秀的风场，所以对于这些国际上面要开发离岸风力的人来说是非常有诱因的。
Today, Taiwan generates around 3 gigawatts of offshore wind capacity, enough to power roughly 3 million homes. In 2016, Taiwan opened its offshore wind sector to international developers, offering strong incentives to attract investment. Offshore wind developers like Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners were one of the early entrants to the island's alternative energy offerings.
We have built 2 offshore wind farms, and they are already providing almost 1 million households in Taiwan.
The 2 projects are Changfang Xidao and Zhongneng, both completed in 2024 and located off the coast of Changhua. Another project, Fengmiao, located off Taichung, is currently under construction and scheduled for completion in 2027.
The 2 wind farms are currently powering the Taiwanese households. They are on government-subsidized feed-in tariff. So it's very much government-driven, policy-driven, subsidizing for the build-out of green power. And the new wind farm we're building, those are completely market-driven.
early projects were supported by government subsidies. But as the sector grows, companies are beginning to sell electricity directly to businesses to power the factories and offices that keep the island running.
We don't have fossil fuel, so we are relying a lot on imported fossil fuel. 95% plus energy sources are imported, coal, natural gas from all around the world. So it's extremely important for Taiwan to have our own independent energy sources, and for an island with very limited land, with not as strong sunshine, but with tremendously strong wind. So developing offshore wind is really a no-brainer option for Taiwan. And so far, it has been proven quite successful.
Because Taiwan relies heavily on imported energy, offshore wind is often discussed as one way to reduce that dependence.
Our semiconductor industry is in extreme need of renewable power. And also, we have many other SMEs who are exporting to clients. There's a need and there's a supply. And how do we make it as affordable, as safe, as reliable as possible? I think it's a big topic for every stakeholders involved, and we need to each play our part well to make it happen.
But among the many stakeholders, the fishing community has raised concerns. In 2016, tensions spilled into the open. Fishermen in Changhua took their protest to sea.
另外是风力发电设备的建制又遭遇到强烈抗争了，彰化渔民担心会因此捕不到鱼。
80多艘的渔船拉起白布条，集结在海上抗议风力公司未经协调擅自动工。
The protests highlighted tensions between offshore wind development and traditional fishing activities.
渔民在平台周围大声抗议，还有人冒险爬上平台。
As more turbines were installed along Taiwan's west coast, the transformation of the sea began to divide the communities that depend on it.
这咱的湾区影响足大的，因为咱若放落伊伫几海里拢会流来卡着，甚至若大望水咱的渔船嘛会甲伊弄掉。
福海公司在彰化外海山。
Following early disputes, discussions between developers and fishing groups led to compensation arrangements and other forms of support.
渔民担心生计会受影响。
Confrontations have not recurred, but some fishermen say concerns remain.
一般百姓会觉得说，风力发电、绿能这种东西是好的方向，我们也是这样觉得是好的方向，但实际上，对我们真的渔民在实际作业的时候，是真的是影响是蛮大的，会比较偏大。那变成我们抓鱼的路线跟区域变少了，那就会影响我们在抓鱼的渔获量。
Despite this, offshore wind projects continue to gather momentum. With that expansion comes the need for workers trained to operate and maintain the turbines safely.
Taiwan 台湾风能训练公司大概在107年左右成立，那是台湾第一家风能训练公司。那以往我们要进到风场工作的这些技术人员，要拿到 GW 证照，都要送到泰国，那大概要花1个礼拜，要花个20万台币左右。
Today, a safety session is underway at the Taiwan International Wind Training Center.
这个就是大概21公尺高， 就是真正模拟海上风机的状况。那现在就是模拟塔柱这个扶梯啊，怎么上怎么下，怎么去使用挂钩，一步一步的下来。
The training goes beyond technique and also prepares crews for the unexpected.
这个就是室内的模拟塔柱的设备。那现在这些人呢，正在训练爬那个塔柱的扶梯的时候，怎么去解锁。万一有人爬一半心脏病发作，教他怎么去把它放到那个平面上面，然后急救。这边的环境是跟外面是一模一样的。
这个课程是海上求生，这个课程主要就是要让他们，如果今天就是在海上发生什么事情，要有能力自己去就是求生嘛，所以这课程就是教他们怎么去做这些应对。
The drills are demanding by design. They are built to expose trainees to pressure and uncertainty, so that when something goes wrong offshore, instinct takes over.
我觉得基本上在这边还是越来越多年轻人想要 enjoy 的，就是进入风机产业的，因为相对其他的产业来说，它是比较多新鲜的东西，然后环境上也比较不同于 office 吧。
At the training center, another batch of trainees completes their session. Sammy Lee is part of a younger generation in Taichung finding opportunities in the wind energy sector. After several years working at the nacelle manufacturing plant, his steady income has allowed him to buy his first apartment.
有个新房子正在装潢，那我可以给大家看一下，这是我的新房子的一些片段。
In cities like Taichung, where property prices can exceed $300,000, owning a home at his age would have been difficult just a generation ago. For many young workers here, the growth of the offshore wind industry is opening doors that did not exist before.
骄傲我可以在这个风电产业，我觉得是一个待遇很好的一份工作。
Sammy now works at the Taichung nacelle plant, which assembles turbines for installation out at sea. For him, the job offers something earlier generations in the city rarely experienced: stable work in a rapidly growing industry.
相比其他的产业，我觉得又可以在环保、永续能源的情形下工作，然后又能学到很多高科技的知识，我觉得很棒。
A new workforce is gradually taking shape. Engineers, technicians, and production line workers, supporting an industry that did not exist here 2 decades ago. As the offshore wind industry continues to evolve, changes reverberate near and far. There are wider environmental questions too.
这个地方呢是八斗子渔港的一个安置中心，我们叫它金之声，这是我们一个医疗救援池。
This is the headquarters of the Taiwan Cetacean Society. Odin Guo is a trained marine mammal observer involved in rescue and response work. Rescued dolphins and other marine mammals are cared for until they can be returned to the sea.
这就是我们的池子，我们今年花了好几百万 做了这样的一个固定的池子，这样子取得最大的空间。我们希望能够鲸豚能够在这样的环境能够得到更好的照顾。
For 2 years, Odin has been working within the offshore wind industry as an environmental observer.
这个是那个在台湾彰化西岸很多风场的一个工程区。这个靠近这岸的这条黄线很有意思，这条黄线呢是15米等水深线，也就是在那以内是中华白海豚的重要栖地。
Odin tracks and maps areas where sea mammals are sighted.
那按照现在的规定，当然在重要栖地里面是绝对不可以做打桩，但是它很近。这里离这个白海豚栖地是30公里，这个地方离白海豚栖地才几公里而已。所以在这个地方如果打桩的话，这一区块的白海豚就会离开很远。
These observations were reported to developers, helping them assess whether proposed sites were suitable for construction.
如果说今天是在750公尺以内，那要停止打桩；如果是1000公尺以外，那其实只要通报而记录就可以了。
Developers are also required to limit underwater noise during construction. Excessive sound can disrupt marine life, especially dolphins, which rely on sound to navigate and communicate.
通常是一个老手对一个新手。
有的时候我常在问一个问题，就是说，当民生建设碰到动物保护，那是工程要让路，还是鲸豚要转弯？在这种状况下，我会赞成说鲸豚转弯那个说法，因为它是可以避得开的。
From what he has seen, the question is not always straightforward. It often comes down to how different priorities are weighed against each other.
如果说做一个 NGO， 我们不断的摇旗呐喊，然后说不行不行不行，看起来好像是站在很道德的制高点。说的坦白讲，如果说我们的风力发电或者我们这绿电没有足够的一些建设，他们讲台积电的东西会卖不出去哦。
Back in Changhua, changes at sea are reflected in the decisions families make on land.
有一次就是因为真的那一年不知道为什么季节有时候抓到什么鱼是不一定的，啊有时候那一个季节本来有那个东西，忽然没有也是很正常的。但是它有一年可能又会回来，所以其实不一定。但那一年不知道为什么就是没有鱼，我们想要抓的都没有。
Jierong and her husband decided to invest in a new boat and change their fishing method.
一开始我先生是用双拖网起家的，双拖网的意思就是2艘船，然后有一个网子，然后他会弄去给母船，然后2个母船，然后下面有铁板，他就一直这样拖，一路拖到底这样。
这里风目前风速还好啦，就是很冷啊。
很冷哦，风还好哦。
对啊，风速还好。
所以当时要等来。
鱼都还没抓到，要怎么回去的？
对啦，要大丰收才可以。那他想要买大船，可以去到比较外面的地方，我们就自己买了大的船，大概大3倍的船。对，就想说用不同的抓鱼的方式，这是流刺网，跟拖网完全不一样。
By switching to single net fishing, they began catching different species than before.
我觉得现在的人没办法改变语法，就是因为方便，没办法脱离那个方便的那种习性。当然，它改变之后，当然那个经济效益也不同，因为大的鱼或是漂亮的鱼，它经济价值就比较高。
Jierong understands the change is here to stay. What remains uncertain is how to keep going, in conditions that feel less certain than before. Over the last decade, offshore wind has grown into a significant industry in Taiwan. It has brought investments and jobs, while also raising concerns over disrupted waters and uncertain livelihoods. It was 2016, and the Huang family had just bought a new boat and renovated their stall.
可是我没有想到说，它其实同步一起来的时候，会直接压垮我们的经济，因为把我们的钱全部都一瞬间就没有了。
A phone call changed their lives.
环岛工程的老板、董事长，他们都在做海上的工作。他就是打电话来，他第一句话只有说：“你那个船可以抗几级风？”然后我老公就说：“就是7、8级、9级都没问题啊，那是一定的啊。”
The Beaufort scale measures wind strength at sea, from calm to stormy conditions. Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners, or CIP, needed watchdog vessels for its offshore wind projects off Changhua. At sea, guard vessels serve as moving watch posts, keeping boats clear of construction activity and invisible underwater risks. Beneath the surface lie turbine foundations, heavy equipment, and cables that can easily snag fishing nets.
So we trained fishermen who we think could be qualified as our guard vessel. We gave them multiple health and safety trainings. We need to give them certificate. They need to pass our tests so that they could become our guard vessel provider.
这是我们就是专门做借护船用的，它所有的设计都是为了借护船而设计的。所以这边因为它还有水密门。 是一般渔船不会看到的。这个是如果说船发生什么状况，它水也不会跑进去。好，我先把它打开，这个可以扣住，可以走到这边来。
Guard vessel operators can earn up to $500 per trip.
But once they are our provider or our supplier, they continuously, for years, to be our suppliers. They grow with the project.
In waters where fishing and wind farming now share space, some fishermen are themselves moving between two industries that were once separate. Wind energy is also attracting a younger generation. At the Taiwan International Wind Training Center, a specialized workshop is underway, preparing crews to deploy offshore. Wei Swan studied mechanical and energy engineering at university. Working offshore is her first job, and one that comes with long days, rough seas, and a steep learning curve.
In the morning, we will first have a work briefing, and then we will sail out to the wind farm. So our task, it depends on what task we receive today. And as a wind turbine technician, our main job is to keep turbine running healthily. Sometimes we will do troubleshooting, so make the turbine can continue running, or we will do preventive maintenance to keep the turbine in a good conditions.
But working offshore brings its own challenges, including rough seas, long journeys, and sudden bad weather.
When we are working offshore, the difference is if there is any emergency, we cannot send this person directly to a hospital because it takes time. So what we can do the best is try to prevent this risk happen. Because we will say working offshore is more risk.
The demanding conditions require more than passing interest. It is not a job for just anyone.
So when we come into the rotation, we're committed to be here and work for 14 days straight. But after that, we get to go home and then take a break for 14 days. And we have a back-to-back team.
当然，要进入这个产业，除了一些的专业技术之外，你有一些基本能力的要求。第一个是你体力要好，你要爬高嘛；第二个你不能巨高嘛；第三个你的基本能力你不能晕船啊。啊，有些人从上面就往下看就晕了，就连跳都不要跳，那你就不要来了。
With more offshore wind farms, recruitment is a challenge.
Some of our sort of hurdles within this region is local skill set to build, develop and get the people what we need. It is quite hard. It's getting harder every year due to the number of turbines already there. So it's to bring on the new graduates and people like that to step into the industry, to help us sustain that and build us the strategy plan of what we need for the next 16 to 20 years.
Another industry player, WPD Taiwan Energy, faces the same challenge, finding people willing to take on the demanding work offshore.
然后有土木工程的工程人员，那还有电力工程，甚至于我们在做开发过程当中，我们需要很重要的财务人员跟法务人员，所以其实他在这个产业需要的人才是非常多元的。
Offshore wind is shaping an entirely new workforce in Taiwan, creating opportunities beyond the island's long dominant semiconductor and IT industries.
It's not just about work, but about meaning. What does it mean to them? What can they actually represent and give the society, give back to the environment? So offshore wind sector, you are immediately involving in CO2 reduction, immediately involving in improving the health and safety standard. So it's not like any other more traditional sector.
Marina believes offshore wind's future is in nurturing local talent, which will sustain long-term growth.
When we first started in Taiwan, hired a few very young engineers. From then until now, they are 8 years in the role, in the project. They are now almost project package managers, leading multi-million US dollars of negotiation projects execution. And this is how you build talent. That's how you build your workforce from the project, from within.
After working in the industry for 2 decades, Eddie finds his role evolving, from tech expert to mentoring the next generation.
如果说年轻人他们比较有好奇心的，其实他们应该来参加这个行业。如果能够有多一点的人来贡献这个绿能的产业，我相信台湾会越来越好。因为这个环境毕竟不是像待在工厂一样单一局限作业。那公司的风场面在整个台湾的西海岸遍布，所以我们一方面我们就像游乐场里面的员工，每天看着这些游乐器具在运作，蛮开心的。
In 2025, close to 400 offshore turbines were operating across Taiwan's west coast. As the industry continues to expand, the conversation is shifting from conflict and adaptation to the future of these waters.
大家好，我是高如萍。
大家好，我是叶流。
欢迎来到 Trina 台湾再生能源推动联盟制作的节目，来聊绿能8绿电实施周报聊天室。但是这个对于环境影响最不大的哈。
Beyond her policy work, Ruping produces a weekly podcast focused on renewable energy. Her aim? To combat fake news and dispel misinformation and misconceptions about offshore wind energy.
对于一般媒体来说，要能够把能源转型的这个议题讲得很清楚，也并不容易，因为那个它本身就是个知识门槛哈。我们每个礼拜就去跟一般很重要的绿能界的人的访谈，去收集国内外最新的绿能的新闻，让大家从这个新闻当中去了解社会的脉动，台湾的绿能的脉动。
但这个白皮书感觉是可以独立出来一点的。
首先，近期在会务的话呢，我们即将就是在12月19号的时候办理监事会议嘛。
今年要把这个年度的报告哈，还有年度的这些预算都要先拟好，然后。
So far, Ruping has released around 40 episodes, each running between 5 and 45 minutes.
以前大家会觉得说，设置离岸风力的时候，好像会影响到渔业，好。可是我们也访问过这个船长，就是说，有的船长就会说，我设置离岸风力以后，我下面的那个水下基础还可以变成鱼礁，就是可能原来的浮游的这个鱼没有，可是现在很多了的，比方说套丘啊、石斑鱼，因为现在鱼会在那个地方多了几个休息站。
As offshore wind grows, Ruping has found herself navigating not just policy, but public perception.
要做假新闻，可能1分钟就做好，有内容农场。可是当你要去把一个正确的这个讯息，可能就已经是2天以后了，就太慢了哈。所以，与其我们追着绿能假新闻跑，还不如我们自己就扮演一个去建立一般民众知识体系的绿能媒体的角色。
Along with wind energy projects, some companies have introduced educational and community engagement programs. For Eddie, this includes sharing his vast knowledge during school visits.
其实我们的风力发电机，刚刚影片有讲到，前面这个部分是什么？
轮毂。机头的。
机头。那轮毂里面它装的是什么东西？啊，很棒哦。
The goal is to portray offshore wind energy as part of Taiwan's future, not just its infrastructure.
其实，在20年前，我们在做风力发电开发的时候，我们就尝试透过说明会，或者是很多到学校去推广这个再生能源的概念开始。
底下刚刚影片里面的凯哥他说，最底下有一个最主要的东西是什么？
变压器。
啊，很聪明哦，对，就是变压器。
2到3个人一组。
那我们为什么要做这件事情？其实是希望说，孩子们面对到的未来，可能就是再生能源它需要实现的未来。所以我们希望孩子可以先提前了解，我们要怎么样爱护这个地球，我们要怎么样做可以降低排碳量。
At Changhua's fish market, life still moves to the rhythm of the sea. Most fishermen sail no further than 5 to 9 kilometers from the shore, as the waters nearby are now shared with offshore wind developments.
我当初从支持风电，我现在反对风电，为什么？因为渔场都被它占走了。我们彰化县的渔民，我们不会往外县市跑，从岸边算出去5海里左右的距离是没有风电的，其他的全部都已经都风电了。那我彰化县的渔民要怎么生存？政府都没有考虑说渔民的怎么生存。
Under current regulations, developers must reach written compensation agreements or support to fishing communities when their operations affect traditional fishing grounds.
So without that consent, without that compensation negotiation, you can go nowhere. It was a very, very tough beginning. And I still remember it was very physical, borderline violent. So they were flipping the tables and this is unacceptable. Fishermen friends were really angry.
Over the years, Marina built a working relationship with the fishing community.
It is all these years of, being scolded and being yelled at, but you keep on showing up. So we settled the first offshore wind farms negotiation with 2.5 years. But the second offshore wind farm, it took us 6 months. The third offshore wind farm, 4 months, because there was trust being built.
While trust continues to grow, there is still uncertainty about the long-term impact of rapid development.
我觉得是大家还没有到一个很清楚知道，原来它影响我们那么久，它到底会影响的什么？那我觉得大家还在很无知的状态下，所以可能大家现在还抱着我要先适应它的这种心态。
Adapting also meant fisherfolk like Chairong's husband had to change his methods to ensure a bountiful catch.
我们的想法就是我们要更大的船，我们要走到更外面去，我们要去抓不一样的东西。但是它的条件就跟沿岸的船不一样了，因为沿岸的船你可以随时来回，你可以不想抓了，今天渔获量变少了，或者是渔具坏掉了，我们就马上回家。可是 大船就不一样了，它可能开到外面就要6个小时或8个小时起跳，它不可能因为什么东西而损坏就马上回来，所以它要准备更多、更足够的渔具到外面去。
跌倒啊！我不跌倒。
每次都要跑来跑去，好不好？
Chairong sees the long hours her husband spends at sea as part of the sacrifices they make for their family.
你帮忙穿绳好不好？你帮忙穿绳。然后你知道爸爸在做什么吗？就是他们在做这个的过程中。挖那个洞。不是。 爸爸在工作船在做那一个风电的时候，爸爸要保护在工作船旁边，让所有的渔船跟漂流的那个渔网不可以靠近那个工作船。你要给他们看，对，让他们知道说。
Off Taiwan's coast, two realities now share the same waters: a way of life shaped by the sea, and a growing demand for energy. Both are navigating a delicate balance, each hoping for the best.